Welcome back to Terrified Tales, where the rain falls slow and the fear creeps in quicker. Like and subscribe before we begin, and tell us where and when you're listening. Midnight, alone, that's when they find you. The faint hum of fluorescent lights buzzes above, almost drowned out by the silence that surrounds the long, empty hallways of Willow Heights Asylum. The camera, well, it's more like a lingering presence watching quietly, pans slowly over the derelict building. Inside, the walls are peeling, the floors creaking under the weight of time. The windows are broken, some sealed shut with plywood, others wide open as though the asylum itself has long abandoned any pretense of safety. The air inside is thick with dust, heavy and still, like a place that hasn't seen life in decades. The whispers of its forgotten history seem to linger in every corner. Owen Mercer, a quiet figure dressed in a faded security guard uniform, walks down the hallway, his footsteps echoing in the emptiness. The sound is so loud in the silence, it almost feels like the building is watching him, waiting. He glances at his watch. It's just after 11. Another long, quiet shift ahead. Owen has been doing this job for a while now. His shift starts long after everyone else has gone home, when the world outside is asleep and the silence inside is thick enough to be felt. This building, the old asylum, has been abandoned for years now, but not for long. Soon enough, someone will come along and turn it into luxury condos, take away all its haunted history, and turn it into something shiny and new. But for now, it's still a place of shadows and memories. The floors under his boots creak with every step he takes. But Owen doesn't flinch. He's used to this place. He doesn't mind the silence, even when it presses in on him like the walls themselves want to crush him. The deadness of the building, the stillness of it, feels strangely comforting to him, better than the crowds and noise of the outside world. Owen hates crowds, always has. He turns a corner and the hallway stretches before him, lined with doors that seem to lead to nothing. He pauses for a moment, staring at the old doors, rusted, warped and discolored. Every one of them seems to hold something from the past. He can feel it, like a weight pressing on his chest. Maybe it's just the job. Maybe it's the isolation. Maybe it's because he's alone in a place like this, a place that hasn't been touched in years. But tonight, there's something different about the silence. Something that feels a little more oppressive, a little heavier. He shakes the feeling off. Nothing's out of the ordinary. Not yet. Owen reaches the security office, a small, barely furnished room with a single desk and an old surveillance monitor. It flickers to life as he sits down. The soft glow from the screen casts long shadows across his face. The asylum's dark, silent corners are illuminated by the grainy images from the security cameras. There's nothing unusual on the monitors, just the empty hallways, the flickering lights, and the occasional shadow shifting across the walls. It's the same every night. There's nothing here but dust and silence. But as Owen leans back in his chair, he catches a glimpse of something. On one of the screens, there's a faint blur in one of the fourth-floor windows. It's a distortion in the glass, nothing more. Probably just the reflection of a tree swaying outside, or maybe a bird passing by. He leans forward, squinting at the screen. No, it's more than that. It's something. His heartbeat quickens, but he shakes it off. It's nothing. Just a trick of the light. Maybe he's just tired. He turns away from the screen for a moment to stretch his arms. When he glances back at the monitor, the blur is gone. No sign of anything unusual. The window's as empty as it should be. Still, there's something about it. Owen tells himself to stop being paranoid. It's just an old building. Nothing's here but ghosts of the past. Nothing real, just old memories stuck in the walls. But then, out of the corner of his eye, he catches it again. The faintest outline of a face, just barely visible through the fogged-up glass of the window. He freezes, staring. It's just a reflection. That's all. But it's moving. The face blinks. Owen's breath catches in his throat. His heart pounds. He stares at the monitor in disbelief, not sure if he's seeing it clearly. His mind races. Could it be? Could it be a person? But that part of the building, it's sealed off. There hasn't been anyone up there for years. He rubs his eyes, trying to clear the fog from his vision. But when he looks back, the face is gone. He tells himself it was just a trick of the light. Nothing. Or a reflection maybe, but why did it blink? The clock on the wall ticks slowly, its sound growing louder as the seconds pass. Owen shifts uncomfortably in his chair, watching the flickering monitor in front of him. The silence in the security room feels thicker now. He can almost feel it pressing in on him from all sides. For the next few minutes, Owen tries to dismiss the image he saw earlier. The face, the blinking. It's just his imagination. He's tired. It's late. And this building has a way of making him see things. Maybe he's been working too many late shifts. He leans back in his chair and rubs his eyes. The dim light from the monitor dances across the dark room, casting long shadows on the walls. He looks at the screen again, trying to focus on the empty hallways, the stillness, the silence. But then he sees it again, the faint blur in the fourth-floor window. His breath catches. He wasn't imagining it. There it is, clearer now, as if it's waiting for him to notice. The figure is a silhouette at first, indistinct and blurry, but it slowly sharpens into a shape, a face. It's too clear now to be a trick of the light. Owen's eyes widen, and his heart starts to pound in his chest. He leans forward, his fingers tightening around the edge of the desk as he watches the monitor intently. The face is still there, staring down at him through the fogged-up glass. He can't make out details. The features are indistinct, like a shadowy smudge on the glass. But the shape of it, it's unmistakable. The face blinks. A chill runs down Owen's spine. His mind races. It's not possible. The fourth floor is completely off limits. The area has been sealed off since 1989 after some kind of riot. There's no access to that part of the building, so who could be up there? His hands begin to shake slightly as he grabs the radio on the desk, his voice low, almost uncertain. "Owen to base," he says, his voice strained. There's someone on the fourth floor." He pauses, waiting for the response. The static crackles in the silence. And then a voice comes through the radio, distant and flat. "Owen, there's nobody up there. No one's scheduled for work on that floor tonight." He glances at the radio, an unsettling feeling crawling up his back. The voice on the other end sounds so calm, as if this is all just routine. Maybe it is. Maybe he's just imagining things, but no. The face blinked. He saw it. He picks up the radio again, trying to steady his breathing. "I'm telling you, there's someone up there. I saw..." But his voice falters as the thought sinks in. How does he explain what he's seeing? How can he make anyone believe him when the place is supposed to be empty? The radio crackles again, and the voice cuts in, this time with more authority. "Owen, you need to get a grip. We're due for the shift change in a few hours. Just stay focused and finish your rounds. It's probably just a reflection from the streetlights outside. You know how these old places are." Owen's grip tightens around the radio. The last thing he wants to do is seem like he's losing control. This job means keeping calm, keeping focused. But every instinct in his body is screaming at him that something isn't right. The security footage flickers for a moment, a brief distortion on the screen. And then once again, the face in the window reappears. But this time it's clearer. It's still distorted, but there's something more to it. The shape of the face has a familiar quality, almost like, no, it can't be. Owen stares at the figure, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. The face looks strangely familiar. It's too blurry to make out, but there's something in the posture, the way it's staring at him. The eyes, they seem to be focused on him, watching him. Owen swallows hard, unsure whether to act on his growing fear or dismiss it as more fatigue-induced hallucinations. But as he leans closer to the screen, the thought hits him like a punch to the gut. It's someone who was here before. He looks away from the monitor, trying to steady his thoughts. He stands up abruptly, the chair scraping loudly across the floor. His breath comes in short gasps as he walks to the window, glancing out into the dark, fog-drenched night. The distant lights of the city barely cut through the thick fog surrounding the asylum. The building stands tall and lonely against the empty night. But even with the fog outside, the face he saw in the window feels closer to him now, as if it has followed him, as if it knows him. The radio crackles again, snapping him from his thoughts. "Owen, what's going on? You there?" Owen presses the button. Yeah, I'm here, it's fine, just some reflections, I'm going to do my rounds." But even as he says it, a part of him knows it's not just reflections. Part 2 continues. Owen walks the hallways, his flashlight cutting through the darkness as he moves from one room to the next. The air in the building feels colder now, sharper somehow. He can't shake the sensation of being watched. Every door he passes feels like it's hiding something. Every shadow in the corner of his eye makes him stop, listen. Is someone there? The 4th floor. He can't stop thinking about it. The face. He shouldn't go up there. He knows he shouldn't. The door's locked. It's sealed off. But the curiosity, the need to understand, is too strong. He steps toward the stairs, his footsteps echoing as they climb. The building creaks under his weight as he ascends. He can hear the sound of his own breathing in the quiet, the thumping of his heart. The 4th floor is just ahead. He reaches the door, feeling the chill in the air as it grows colder with every step. His hand lingers on the cold, rusted doorknob. The door is locked, as it always has been. It should stay that way. But something pulls at him, like a thread weaving through his very core, urging him to turn the knob, to open it. He hesitates for a moment, the weight of years of silence and abandonment pressing on his shoulders. Then, with a shaking hand, he twists the handle. The door creaks open. The darkness inside is thick, suffocating, but something feels off. Owen's flashlight flickers as he walks down the hallway, casting long shadows across the walls. The silence of the building seems to stretch out around him like an oppressive weight. Every footstep is louder than it should be, echoing in the empty space. The air feels cold, damp, strange, for a place that hasn't had any real activity in years. He stops in front of a closed door, his breath catching in his throat. The door seems to be just another part of the asylum, indistinguishable from all the others. But something about this particular door gives him pause. His mind flashes to the face in the window, the face that blinked at him, the face that seemed to know him. He shakes his head, trying to clear the thoughts away. It's just his mind playing tricks. The exhaustion, the isolation, they're all messing with his head. But something gnaws at him, and he can't shake the feeling that something is hiding here, waiting for him. Owen continues down the hallway, past the rows of darkened rooms. He reaches the end of the corridor and stops in front of a large, cracked window that looks out into the night. The view from here is different than the rest of the building. The window is fogged up, the glass worn down by years of neglect. He places his hand against it, watching as the condensation builds beneath his palm. The strange feeling is still there, prickling at the back of his neck. The need to investigate, to see if he can find the source of the odd sensation, gnaws at him. His fingers instinctively reach for the roll of sticky notes in his pocket. He grabs a few, quickly scribbling a question on the first one. "Who are you?" He he sticks it to the bottom of the window, right under the fogged-up glass. Then, without thinking too much about it, he steps back and turns away. The silence in the hallway feels heavier now. Owen makes his way back to the security office, his mind racing, but as he sits down at his desk, the question he wrote on the sticky note seems to circle in his head. The face in the window, the voice on the radio, the unsettling feeling that something is not right. He tells himself to focus. It's just a game his mind is playing. A reflection, maybe even a figment of his imagination, like the stories the old caretakers used to tell about the asylum. Ghost stories, nothing more. But just as he reaches for his coffee mug, the monitor flickers to life. The screen is filled with static for a moment, before the picture sharpens. Owen freezes, his eyes fixed on the image. There, once again, is the window. The foggy glass, the sticky note he left behind. It's still there, but there's something different now. A response. The handwriting is messy, almost frantic, and it's written in smudged ink that has dripped onto the glass. But the message is unmistakable. I am Anne-Marie. His blood runs cold. Owen leans in closer to the screen, his heart hammering in his chest. His fingers tremble slightly as he reaches for the mouse, his hand moving almost on its own. The camera feed scrolls backward, rewinding the footage, and Owen's eyes widen in disbelief. The sticky note is gone, but a new one has appeared. I've been waiting. His breath catches in his throat. He doesn't understand. This is impossible. There's no one here. There's no one who could have... No. This is just a mistake. He grabs his radio, speaking quickly, trying to steady his voice. Owen to base. I need you to check the security logs for the 4th floor. Now. There's someone up there. The radio crackles, but this time the voice on the other end doesn't sound calm. Owen, we've been through this. There's no one on that floor. There are no workers scheduled. You need to let it go. But Owen can't. He just can't. His mind races, and the panic sets in. The face, the notes, the strange messages that are coming from nowhere. He has to know what's going on. The name, Anne-Marie. It's the same as the nurse who went missing. He remembers briefly reading about her when he was researching the asylum's history earlier. She was a night nurse who disappeared in the 80s, right before the asylum closed its doors. But how would anyone know that name? How could anyone know what was on the sticky note? His hands shake as he looks back at the monitor. He rewinds the footage again, desperately scanning the frames. But the glass is clear now. The sticky notes are gone, wiped away. Only the fogged-up window remains. The name, Anne-Marie. He remembers the report he read earlier. How she had been part of some incident with the patients. How she had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. No one knew what happened to her. No one found her body. The authorities ruled it as a runaway, but something about it never added up. But now it feels like the asylum itself is reaching out to him, calling to him, pulling him deeper into the mystery. The clock on the wall ticks louder in the stillness of the room. Owen feels trapped in this moment, his mind racing with questions and fears. What does this mean? What is happening here? And more importantly, who is Anne-Marie? Owen can't shake the feeling that something is happening, something beyond his control. The sticky notes, the face in the window, the name Anne-Marie. It's all too much, and his mind races in 1,000 different directions. The isolation of the asylum amplifies every thought, and the weight of the building's silence feels like a pressure on his chest. The low hum of the fluorescent lights above feels suffocating now, almost like a heartbeat. Owen's hand trembles slightly as he reaches for the old file cabinet in the corner of the security office. He's been avoiding it for a while, but tonight it feels like it's calling to him. The file on Anne-Marie Holt, the missing nurse, is somewhere inside. He remembers briefly skimming it when he was researching the asylum's history earlier, but now it feels like a necessity to open it, to know more. He pulls the drawer open with a slow creak. The papers inside are brittle, yellowed with age, but the name Anne-Marie Holt stands out in bold letters on the top sheet. His pulse quickens as he pulls the file out, the smell of old paper filling the air. He opens it, scanning through the pages, the details leaping out at him in jagged pieces. Anne-Marie Holt, night shift nurse, a woman in her early 30s when she disappeared, last seen on the 4th floor during a particularly violent patient. Riot in 1987. The riot had been hushed up, but it had been ugly. Patients had gotten violent and staff had been injured. But no one ever found out what happened to Anne-Marie. She just disappeared. The report is sparse, almost deliberately so. No details about the riot itself. Just a brief mention of the chaos that ensued, the unrest that gripped the patients. The mention of Anne-Marie's name comes only in passing. She had been caught in the middle and was unaccounted for after the chaos subsided. They ruled it as a disappearance. Maybe she had run off. Maybe she had been taken. But there had been no trace of her. There's a photograph in the file. Anne-Marie standing in front of the asylum, smiling faintly. She's young, maybe in her early 30s, with brown hair tied back into a neat bun. Her eyes seem distant, almost too calm for someone who worked in such a place. But what strikes Owen the most is her expression. There's something about it. A hint of unease, like she knew something was coming. As Owen stares at the photo, the room seems to grow colder, the air thickening with an unease that seems to seep out of the old pages. He blinks and looks away, shaking his head as if to clear his thoughts. This is too much, too many strange things happening all at once. But as he sits back in his chair, the reality of it sinks in. The connection between what he's seeing, what's happening right now, and Anne-Marie's disappearance feels undeniable. Anne-Marie had vanished without a trace, and yet here he is, on the brink of something he can't fully understand. Something is reaching out to him from the past, something that is tied to her. To the 4th floor. Owen glances over at the security monitor, and for a moment, the familiar sight of the hallways and the empty rooms makes him feel like he's in control again. But the nagging sensation at the back of his mind remains. The feeling that he's being pulled into something far darker than he can handle. He pushes himself away from the desk, a sense of dread rising in his chest. The stale air in the room feels suffocating now, the walls pressing in as if the building itself is alive, watching him. His eyes flicker to the clock on the wall, 3 a.m. A shiver runs down his spine as he glances back at the file, the name Anne-Marie Holt still staring back at him from the photograph. There's something about her, something he's not seeing. The mystery, the whispers in the walls, it all feels connected. Without thinking, he grabs the file and heads out of the office, his footsteps echoing loudly in the empty hallway. The 4th floor, he has to go there. The air grows colder as Owen climbs the stairs. The heavy silence of the asylum wraps around him, tightening with each step he takes. He's done this countless times before, walking these hallways, monitoring the cameras. But tonight feels different. Every shadow feels deeper. Every creak of the building feels like a warning. The 4th floor. The door. The place where Anne-Marie had vanished all those years ago. It calls to him, like a magnetic pull he can't resist. He reaches the door at the top of the stairs, its old wood groaning in protest as he stands before it. The rusted handle feels cold to the touch. The door should be locked. It should be sealed, just like it always has been. But tonight, it feels as if it's waiting for him. The lock is stiff, but as he twists the handle, it gives way with an unsettling creak. It shouldn't have opened. The room beyond is dark. The hallway is shrouded in shadows, the faintest light filtering through the gaps in the boarded-up windows. He steps inside, his flashlight cutting through the murk. The air is damp, thick with the smell of decay and mildew. The floor creaks beneath his boots as he moves deeper into the hallway, his footsteps unnervingly loud in the silence. There's a strange energy here, something oppressive. The very air feels wrong. His flashlight flickers as he moves down, the hall casting erratic shadows against the walls. The faint outline of old doors stretches down the corridor like dark mouths waiting to swallow him whole. But it's the farthest door that catches his attention. It's different. This door is slightly ajar. The faintest light flickers from within, and his heart skips a beat. Owen steps closer, his breath shallow, his every instinct screaming for him to turn around, to leave. But something pulls him forward, some force stronger than his fear urging him to push open the door. He reaches for the knob. The door to the fourth floor creaks as Owen slowly pushes it open. The darkness beyond swallows him whole, as if the room is alive, inhaling his every movement. His flashlight cuts through the black, the beam quivering slightly in his trembling hands. Every step he takes feels heavy, like the very ground is reluctant to hold his weight. The old floorboards groan underfoot, each sound unnervingly loud in the silence. He pauses for a moment, trying to gather his thoughts, to steady his breathing. His heart is racing, his pulse thudding in his ears. It's just a building. It's just a hallway, he tells himself. But the air here feels different. It's colder, like the temperature has dropped several degrees since he last checked. The damp, musty smell is overpowering, like mold and decay. And then, just as he starts to think he's imagined it, he hears something. A whisper. It's faint at first, just barely audible. But it's there, coming from deeper in the hall. He freezes, his hand still on the flashlight. The whisper isn't clear enough to make out, but it feels wrong. It's like someone is speaking just out of reach, and yet it feels as though they're standing right next to him. He strains to hear, his breathing shallow, his senses heightening. The whisper comes again, clearer now, almost like it's calling his name. Owen. His blood runs cold. The sound of his name whispered in that low, sibilant voice. It's not just strange, it's personal. He knows that voice. But where from? He steps forward cautiously now, the beam of the flashlight trembling in his hand. As it sweeps across the room, his breath fogs in the cold air, and he tightens his grip on the flashlight. Owen. This time it's louder, closer. He swivels, but there's no one there. The hall is empty. The shadows seem to stretch unnaturally in the dim light, growing longer and more distorted. The murmur seems to come from all around him, echoing off the walls, swirling in the air like it's alive. It isn't just his name now. It's words. Disjointed phrases like fragments of conversation. At first, it sounds like his own voice, quiet, faint, as though he's talking to himself, answering questions he hasn't asked. Who are you? Who is it? The words come and go, like an unsettling echo in his mind. But there's a change now, as if the whispers are responding to something he hasn't said out loud, something inside him. The murmur intensifies, surrounding him. Where are you going? Owen's heart skips a beat. This isn't just some echo. It's as if his mind is answering itself. But it doesn't feel right. The way the whispers shift and twist, it's as though they're not coming from his mind at all. They're coming from somewhere deeper. Something is inside the walls with him. He stumbles back, his breath catching in his throat. The flashlight flickers again, casting erratic shadows across the hallway. The murmuring doesn't stop. It becomes more frantic now, more insistent. The words start to blur into one another. Please, don't. Owen's eyes widen, a cold sweat prickling his skin. The voice, it's different now. It's not his. It's not just a trick of the mind. He swings the flashlight in all directions, but there's no one there. No one to see. Yet, it feels like the building itself is alive, breathing with him, whispering to him, "Where am I?" The question hangs in the air, sharp and clear. Owen stumbles backward, his feet tripping over the uneven floorboards. He can hear his pulse pounding in his ears, drowning out the whispers for a moment. The shadows in the hallway seem to shift, stretching longer as he backs away, as though they're closing in on him. The air is suffocating now, thick with something he can't name. His hands tremble uncontrollably as he turns around, hurrying to leave the fourth floor, to escape whatever this is. His breath comes faster, his heart racing in his chest. But then, as he reaches the door, it happens. The flashlight flickers one final time, casting a burst of light across the hallway, directly onto the end of the corridor. There, at the farthest edge of the hallway, standing in the dim light, is a figure. For a moment, Owen thinks his mind is playing tricks on him. But then, the figure steps forward, and he sees it clearly. It's a woman. Her features are faint, blurred like a reflection that's barely holding on to its form, but her presence is undeniable. She's standing at the far end of the hallway, watching him. Her eyes, though obscured by the shadows, seem to pierce into his very soul. She's wearing a nurse's uniform. Owen's breath catches in his throat. It's her, the woman from the file, Anne-Marie Holt. But it can't be. She vanished all those years ago. The figure doesn't move, but her presence feels as though it's pulling him in. The whispers intensify, growing louder, almost overwhelming. The words are now a chant, saying his name over and over again. Owen, Owen, Owen. Owen's legs feel like they're made of lead, and the air around him thickens with every heartbeat. He wants to turn, to run, but his feet are frozen to the floor. The figure steps closer, and for the briefest of moments, their eyes lock. And then, as if it were some terrible mirage, she disappears. Owen stumbles back, a cold sweat now covering his skin. The hallway is empty again, but the weight of what just happened presses down on him. His heart pounds in his chest, and he feels a sense of vertigo, like the world around him is tilting. The whispers stop, leaving only the echo of his racing thoughts. His hands shake as he clutches the flashlight, trying to make sense of what he just saw. He turns and runs for the stairs. He needs to get out of here, now. His own face twisted in horror, his eyes are wide open, mouth agape in silent screams. But it's not just his face. There's something wrong with it, something dead about it. Owen can't move. His feet are frozen to the floor as the stretcher, slowly, inexorably, moves closer to him. The figure dragging it never turns around, never acknowledges him. The figure's face is hidden in the shadows, but Owen can feel the weight of its presence. Then it speaks. A voice low and cold, like an echo in his mind. "You're next." The words slice through him like a knife. His breath catches, but before he can react, the stretcher lurches forward, stopping just inches from his feet. The figure dragging it is right behind him now, silent, looming. Owen wants to scream, to move, to run, but he can't. The voice repeats, growing louder. "You're next." Owen's eyes snap open, his body drenched in sweat. His heart is pounding, his chest tight as if he's just run a marathon. His breathing is shallow, ragged. For a moment he lies there, eyes wide, staring at the dark ceiling of the security office. The room is silent again, so still it almost feels oppressive. But the dream feels so real. The feeling of Anne-Marie's uniform, the stretcher, the voice. He sits up, running a hand through his damp hair. It takes a moment to process the dream, to remind himself that it wasn't real, but the cold sweat still clings to his skin, and the words echo in his head. You're next. The walls of the room seem to close in on him. He stands quickly, his legs shaky as he moves to the window. The sky outside is pitch black, the fog thickening. The world feels miles away, as if he's been cut off from reality. The mirror-like surface of the glass reflects his face, pale and drawn. And then, just beneath his reflection, he sees it. A figure, faint, like a shadow, standing just beyond the glass. He turns, his breath catching, but there's nothing there, just the reflection. The moment Owen exits the fourth floor, he's flooded with a mix of adrenaline and confusion. The whispers, the woman in the hallway, Anne-Marie Holt. It all feels like a fever dream, like some twisted hallucination. He stumbles down the stairs, the rickety old steps groaning beneath his weight. His pulse is still racing, his breath shallow. The lights above flicker, buzzing softly as if the building itself is reacting to his anxiety, to the chaos in his mind. He reaches the bottom floor, where the air feels thinner, easier to breathe, but it does little to calm his racing thoughts. He paces around the security office, back and forth, trying to steady himself. His mind won't stop. The image of Anne-Marie, standing at the end of the hallway, her eyes empty and searching, won't leave him. He can still hear the murmurs, in his head like whispers too far away to catch, but close enough to feel their weight. The clock on the wall ticks away, but the time seems to stretch, thick and unending. His thoughts are a whirlwind of questions. What's happening to him? Why now? Why here? As exhaustion creeps in, Owen finally sits down at the desk, his body weary, but his mind still racing. He closes his eyes for a moment, trying to relax, trying to escape the overwhelming pressure of the asylum. The silence feels suffocating, the weight of the building pressing against him from all sides. But even when his eyes close, the images don't fade. Instead, they grow sharper. The dream comes suddenly, sharp and vivid. The dream. Owen is standing in the middle of a long, narrow hallway. The walls are soaked with rainwater, the floor slick and damp beneath his feet. The air is thick with a musty smell, the kind of dampness that clings to everything like mold. His heart pounds as he looks around, but all he sees is the hallway stretching out in front of him, disappearing into darkness. The walls are lined with rusted old bed frames, their metal twisted and bent, like forgotten skeletons of the past. There's a faint, distant hum, something like machinery or the low moan of a ventilation system. But it's distant, drowned, out by the steady thrum of his own heartbeat. He can feel the weight of the place pressing in on him. The very air feels heavy. He looks down at himself and realizes he's no longer in his security uniform. He's wearing a nurse's uniform. His hands tremble as he looks down at the faded white fabric, the name tag barely readable. It says Anne-Marie. His breath catches in his throat. The realization hits him like a punch to the gut. Before he can react, he hears something behind him, a sound, like the creak of a door opening slowly. He turns, but all he sees is a hallway stretching endlessly in both directions. The light flickers above him, casting erratic shadows against the wet floor. But something is coming. Something is moving in the distance, getting closer. He can hear it now. A sound like footsteps, slow and measured, approaching him from behind. His stomach turns, and he knows, without a doubt, that he's not alone. He turns quickly, but there's no one there. Yet the footsteps keep coming. Closer. Closer. Panic sets in. His heart races as he looks for an escape. But there's nothing. No doors, no windows, just endless hallway darkness and the sound of footsteps drawing nearer. And then, through the gloom, he sees her, the stretcher. It's being dragged down the hallway, just beyond his line of sight, but it's moving toward him. He's paralyzed with fear, unable to look away. The stretcher moves closer, the figure dragging it with agonizing slowness. The blanket covering, the stretcher shifts, and Owen feels a cold chill run through him. He doesn't want to look. He knows he shouldn't, but he can't help it. The blanket on the stretcher lifts slightly, revealing a face, distorted and unrecognizable. It's him. The moments after Owen wakes from the disturbing dream blur into one another, and time seems to stretch and warp like a funhouse mirror, reflecting his growing unease. He can still feel the sweat on his skin, the tightness in his chest, the cold, fingers of fear gripping at him. But as he sits there in the dim glow of the security office, the silence becomes his enemy. The words from the dream keep echoing in his mind, an unrelenting drumbeat. "You're next." He rubs his face, trying to ground himself in the present. But the weight of the asylum, the darkness that pervades every corner, every room, feels heavier tonight. He's alone here, alone with his thoughts, and every shadow feels like it's watching him, listening to him. The walls are closing in. Owen stands up suddenly, the chair scraping across the floor with a harsh, jarring noise. The sound feels too loud in the quiet. He walks over to the window and looks outside, hoping to see something familiar, anything to remind him that the world beyond these walls still exists. But the fog outside is thick, swallowing everything in its path. The streetlights are blurred halos in the mist, like ghosts fading into the dark. He turns back to the security desk, his eyes flicking toward the monitors. The hallways are empty, the rooms are still. The fourth floor haunts him, its silence oppressive, its mystery drawing him in. He hasn't been up there since that night, the night of the whispers, the night of the figure. He knows he shouldn't go back, but the questions pull at him like a tide he can't fight. He feels like he's on the edge of something terrible and inevitable, and he doesn't know how much longer he can keep himself together. His hands shake slightly as he presses a button on the security console, pulling up the camera feeds for the fourth floor. The grainy, flickering image of the empty hallway fills the screen. The window, the same one where he first saw the face, appears on the feed. The glass is fogged, just as it was before. It feels alive, watching him. His mind flashes back to the face he saw in the window, the figure, the woman, Anne-Marie. He doesn't know why he's so certain, but he feels it in his bones. She's still here. The thought sends a shiver down his spine. He blinks, rubbing his eyes as if trying to clear the vision that's becoming more vivid with each passing moment. But when he looks back at the screen, the fogged window seems to distort the shape of something, someone, just behind the glass. His breath catches in his throat. It's her, Anne-Marie. But the face doesn't blink. It doesn't move. It just stares. A wave of nausea rises in Owen's stomach, and he pulls himself away from the desk, pacing the room in tight, agitated circles. His pulse is pounding in his ears. His thoughts are scattered, disconnected. The murmurs, the dreams, the figure. It's all blending together, pulling him deeper into a nightmare from which he can't escape. He goes to the door, his hand trembling as he grips the handle. The building feels colder now, the air thick with something oppressive, as though it's waiting for him to make his next move. The hallway outside is still, the silence almost suffocating. He forces himself to take a deep breath, but it does little to steady the fear that's settled in his chest. He's not sure what he's doing anymore. Part of him wants to run, leave, get out of this building and never come back. But another part of him, the part he can't control, needs to understand, needs to know what's happening here. And that part of him drags him forward. Owen's feet carry him down the hall toward the stairs that lead to the fourth floor. His steps are slow, deliberate, as if he's moving through a fog. His thoughts feel distant, detached from his body as he ascends. The stairs, each creak underfoot amplifying the silence around him. The building is still, too still, like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. He reaches the top of the stairs, the familiar coldness of the fourth floor seeping into his skin as he stands before the door. He doesn't remember consciously deciding to open it, but his hand is already on the doorknob, twisting it slowly, and the door creaks open before he can stop it. The hallway is just as he left it, dark, empty, filled with the musty scent of decay. The shadows feel deeper here, more alive, and his flashlight flickers in his hand, casting long, erratic beams of light that seem to dance across the walls. But it's the silence that strikes him the hardest. The silence feels wrong. He feels like he's being watched, that the very walls are closing in on him. Every shadow feels like it's hiding something. He takes a step forward, then another. The floorboards creak under his weight, the sound unnatural in the stillness. His eyes scan the hallway, looking for something, anything that might explain what's happening to him. The whispers begin again. At first, it's just a murmur in the distance, faint and unrecognizable. But it grows louder, clearer, until it's unmistakable. Owen. His heart stutters in his chest. He knows it's not in his head. This time, it's not just a trick of the mind. The voice is coming from the hallway, just beyond the corner. Owen, come closer. He stands frozen for a moment, his breath catching in his throat. The voice, he recognizes it now. It's his own voice, but it's not coming from him. It's coming from somewhere else. The walls seem to hum with the sound of it, and the hallway stretches before him, the shadows seeming to shift, elongating and twisting. The whispers intensify, as if they're beckoning him, pulling him forward. His legs feel like they're no longer his own. He doesn't want to move. He shouldn't move. But something is dragging him forward, like an invisible force is pushing him toward the corner, toward whatever lies beyond it. His steps are slow, reluctant, but they carry him forward. When he turns the corner, he's confronted by something he can't explain. Something that makes his stomach drop. There's a door, slightly ajar, at the end of the hallway. The same door from his dream. The same door he saw on the security feed. The door he knows he can't open, but he reaches for the knob anyway. Owen stands at the door, the cold metal handle pressing into his palm, his fingers trembling with each shallow breath. The air around him is thick, the oppressive silence almost unbearable. But it's the whispers that hold him in place. The ee voices, the distant, unintelligible murmurs, have grown louder, more frantic, like a chorus of voices inside his mind. But it's not his mind, he realizes. It's coming from the walls, the floors, the building itself. The asylum is alive, in a way he can't begin to explain. You're not alone here, the voices say, repeating the same phrase over and over in unison. You're not alone. The words blur together in a maddening crescendo, echoing off the peeling walls. He feels the weight of something intangible pressing down on him. The very fabric of reality seems to unravel, and he's caught in the middle of it, his sense of self slowly disintegrating. His grip tightens on the doorknob, and with a quick breath, he forces himself to turn it. The door creaks open. Beyond it, the hallway stretches out into the dimly lit distance, its edges swallowed by the darkness. The flashlight in his hand flickers once again, casting a feeble beam of light that barely penetrates the shadows. The corridor seems endless, and yet Owen feels drawn forward, as if some unseen force is guiding him. He moves down the hallway, with deliberate, slow steps, the whispering voices seemingly wrapping around him, pressing into his mind. They're louder now, more insistent. It's as if the building is speaking directly to him, as though it knows his thoughts, his fears, his every move. His flashlight shakes in his hand as he reaches the end of the hallway, where a small, cracked window lets in a trickle of pale moonlight. It's just enough light to reveal a room at the far end, a room that shouldn't be here. It's familiar, yet alien. It's a room he's never seen, but in the depths of his mind, he knows it. The door to the room is slightly ajar. Owen hesitates, his breath catching in his throat. Every part of him tells him to turn back, to leave this place and never return. But the pull, the desire to know, to understand, drives him forward. He steps inside. The room is a twisted mockery of a hospital room, long forgotten and abandoned by time. The walls are cracked and stained, the floor uneven and covered in layers of dust. The remnants of old rusted bed frames lie in disarray, some of them turned over, others untouched by time. The air is thick with the scent of decay, a mixture of mold and rot that makes him gag. But it's something else that catches his eye. At the far end of the room, on the wall, there is a mirror. It's large, old, with a tarnished frame, but its glass is oddly clean, almost too pristine for such an old and abandoned building. He's drawn to it, against his better judgment. His feet move of their own accord, his legs trembling as he approaches. His reflection stares back at him, pale and disheveled, his eyes wide with confusion and fear. But as his gaze lingers on the mirror, something shifts. Something distorts. The reflection blurs for a brief second, like ripples in water, and when it clears, his name is written on the glass. Owen Mercer. The letters are etched into the glass in jagged, hurried strokes, as though someone had scratched them there in a frenzy. His heart skips a beat. This is impossible. He didn't do this. He couldn't have. He steps closer to the mirror, his breath fogging up the surface. The name is still there, clear as day. Owen Mercer. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is the date etched beneath his name. 1987, the year the asylum was closed, the year Anne-Marie disappeared. His mind begins to reel. How? Why? This doesn't make sense. He never worked here in 1987. He couldn't have. He wasn't even here. He was still in training to become an EMT back then, far from this cursed building. But here it is. His name, scratched into the glass, alongside a date he has no memory of. Suddenly the whispering starts again, this time louder, more insistent. It's like a chorus of voices, all speaking at once, all calling his name. Owen Mercer. He turns quickly, his heart pounding in his chest. There's no one there, just the empty room. But the voices continue, growing louder, closer. It's as though they're coming from the walls, the floor, the ceiling. They're inside him, crawling through his veins. You've always been here, they chant. You've always been here, Owen. His head spins. He can't breathe. The room starts to close in on him, the walls pressing against his chest. He reaches out for the door, his hands shaking uncontrollably. But when his fingers touch the handle, the door slams shut. The force of it makes him stumble backward. The whispers have turned into frantic murmurs now, all around him, smothering him. His chest tightens, and for a moment he feels like he's suffocating, like he can't breathe, like the very building is choking him. He looks back at the mirror, his reflection staring back at him with hollow, terrified eyes. And then, in the glass, he sees her, Anne-Marie. Her face is distorted at first, but it sharpens quickly, her features becoming clear as she smiles faintly at him, her eyes filled with sadness. She doesn't speak, but the message is clear. She's been waiting for him. His head spins. The world tilts. He can't think straight. He needs to get out of here. He needs to run. But his feet won't move. Owen's reflection in the mirror begins to change. Slowly his face morphs. The contours shift. The expression changes until it's no longer his own face staring back at him. The face is distorted, older and marked with something, a scar, a symbol. He can't make it out, and then he understands. The reflection is not his anymore, it's someone else. It's Anne-Marie. She stares back at him through the mirror, her lips moving soundlessly. Then she opens her mouth, and though he can't hear her, he feels her words in his bones. Here, his stomach drops, his knees buckle beneath him and the world spins. The room tilts, the mirror distorts, and Owen collapses to the floor, gasping for air. But the whispers don't stop. They're louder now, closer. Owen's name is repeated over and over again, and it feels like the asylum itself is swallowing him whole. Owen's heart is still hammering in his chest as he scrambles to his feet. His hands are shaking, the cold sweat dripping down his face, mixing with the dampness of the room. His mind is spinning, racing to make sense of everything. Anne-Marie, the reflection, his name etched on the glass. He's been in the asylum for days now, and the hours have melted into one unbroken nightmare. But something has shifted inside him. There's no denying it anymore. He's trapped. The mirror, with Anne-Marie's face, his face staring back at him, has broken something inside him. He doesn't know what's real anymore. The walls feel like they're closing in, pressing him into a space that's both familiar and foreign. The whispers haven't stopped. They're louder now, echoing in his skull like 1,000 voices, drowning him out. Owen Mercer. Every part of him wants to scream, to shout at the asylum, to demand answers. But the words won't come. Instead, he stands there, frozen, unable to move. His gaze flickers between the mirror, the walls, the door. None of it feels right. None of it feels like it belongs to the present. It all feels old, as if he's standing on the edge of something, teetering between worlds. But the worst part is the mirror. The reflection in the glass has shifted. His own face is gone, replaced by a version of himself that's older, more worn. The face in the mirror is covered in deep, jagged scars, the eyes hollowed out and dark with despair. It's a face he doesn't recognize, but it feels like it's staring back at him, waiting for him to acknowledge it. And then the face in the mirror speaks, not with words, but with his voice. A voice he can't escape. The same voice he's been hearing in his head for days, the same voice that's been guiding him deeper into the asylum, deeper into this madness. You're one of us now. The words hit him like a physical blow, and his knees buckle again. He's on the floor now, hands gripping the cold, damp ground, as if he can hold on to reality. But the asylum is closing in on him. The walls seem to pulse with life, the shadows flickering, as though they're moving. Closer, wrapping around him, Owen's mind is a fractured mess. Anne-Marie, the name written on the glass, the reflection that isn't his. How could it be? He wasn't here in 1987. He was never supposed to be here. Yet the truth is undeniable now. His reflection in the glass doesn't lie. Owen feels it. All at once, a terrible realization. He's been here before. This is no accident. It's not just a building he's locked in. It's a cycle, a loop. The asylum has claimed him, pulled him in, and now he's part of it, part of its history. His name etched in the glass, alongside Anne-Marie's. They were here together, and worse, he's not the first to be trapped. The reflection in the glass shifts again, morphing into something else. The face, now distorted, looks back at him with that same hollow expression, but it's not Anne-Marie anymore. It's another version of him, another version of Owen. The past is alive in this place, bleeding into the present. Time isn't linear here. It bends, it twists, and Owen is caught in the middle of it all. You were always meant to come back. The voice in his head grows louder, darker. It's not just Anne-Marie anymore. It's the asylum, It's the building itself, whispering, pulling him deeper into the horror. He can't breathe. The walls are pressing in again. The shadows are everywhere, stretching out to grab him, suffocating him with their cold, unyielding grip. The air is thick with the smell of decay, of death, of the patients who had once been confined here. They're still here. You're one of us. The words echo in his skull, and with them comes the terrifying truth. The asylum, this place, is a living entity. It's been feeding on the suffering of those who entered its walls for years, and now it's pulling him into its twisted, endless cycle. He doesn't belong to the outside world anymore. He belongs to Willow Heights Asylum. His mind fractures further as the door to the room slams shut behind him. The handle rattles as if something, or someone, is trying to get in. The murmurings are deafening now, like 1,000 voices chanting his name, pulling him back into the depths of the asylum. He can hear his own voice now, mingling with theirs, responding to them as if his thoughts are no longer his own. You're next. You're always next. He stumbles to his feet, reaching desperately for the door, his hands shaking uncontrollably. But the door won't open. It's locked, sealed. And then, the door to the room begins to creak. The air shifts, the temperature drops, and Owen turns just in time to see the shadow, the one that's been lurking in the corners of his vision since he first set foot in this cursed place, take shape. It's tall, indistinct, a wisp of something ancient and otherworldly. The shadow moves closer, its presence cold and suffocating. It's reaching for him now, its fingers stretching out like a nightmare made flesh. Owen can't run. He can't move. He's stuck in the cycle, the loop, and he knows now, with a terrible certainty, that this is how it ends. This is how it always ends. Still here? Brave. Or maybe you just like the feeling of being watched. Like, subscribe and drop your time and location in the comments so we know who's still out there. Now breathe slow. The worst is coming. It's been days. Or is it weeks? Owen can't tell anymore. Time has slipped away in this cursed place, each second melding into the next until it's all just one never-ending blur. The whispers haven't stopped since the moment he stepped into Willow Heights Asylum. The voices follow him in his every waking moment, filling the silence with the unbearable knowledge that he's not alone here, that he's never been alone. Owen is no longer sure where his thoughts end and the asylums begin. His reflection in the mirror haunts him. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees the face. His face, but older, scarred, like a ghost trapped in the glass. And Anne-Marie. Her ghostly presence has become a constant, her name echoing through his mind. The same name carved into the walls of this forsaken place. You're next. He can still hear it, even now, whispering in his ear. The sound of his own name reverberates inside his skull like a low hum he can't escape. Owen drags himself back to the security office, his steps heavy, his body numb. The air in the building feels thick, suffocating, as though the very walls are pressing down on him. He reaches the desk, his hands shaky as he sits down in front of the monitors. The room feels colder, darker, the silence almost suffocating. The SAISI monitors flicker to life. The empty hallways of Willow Heights stretch out before him on the screen, and yet he can't help but feel that something is wrong. The asylum is watching him. He knows it. He feels it. The feed from the 4th floor is empty, again. But something catches his eye. A flicker, a strange distortion in the video feed. His heart skips a beat. Someone is there. The figure is just a shadow in the farthest corner of the screen, barely visible in the grainy footage. Owen leans closer to the monitor, his pulse racing. He rewinds the footage, but the figure doesn't move. It's just there, standing in the corner, its features indistinct, like a smear of darkness against the pale walls. He grabs the radio, his fingers trembling as he presses the button. Owen to base. I've got movement on the 4th floor. Check the feed. There's a crackling pause on the other end. Then a voice comes through, cold and indifferent. Owen, there's no one scheduled for the 4th floor tonight. You need to focus on your rounds and stop wasting time on static. Owen's throat tightens. He doesn't trust this. He knows there's someone there. He's seen it. His mind isn't playing tricks on him. But the voice on the radio doesn't sound concerned. It's the same monotonous voice from before, telling him to forget, to ignore what he's seeing, to keep moving. It's always the same, dismissive. It's like they want him to stop looking, to stop questioning, to stop digging into the history of Willow Heights. But Owen can't. He won't. He forces himself to push the thought aside, even as his stomach churns with unease. He can't keep doing this, but he's too deep now. He takes a shaky breath and grabs his flashlight, standing up and walking toward the door. The walls feel closer now, the silence pressing against him like a physical weight. He moves down the hallway toward the stairs that lead to the 4th floor, his mind screaming at him to turn back, to leave this cursed place once and for all. But he can't. The whispers are already starting. You're next. You're always next. Owen fights to control his breath as he climbs the stairs, each step more laborious than the last. The hallway at the top is dark, its air heavy with the scent of decay. And as he moves down the corridor, the sound of his footsteps echoes in the silence. It's almost too loud. When he reaches the door to the 4th floor, it's locked, as it should be. But the lock is different now. It's old. It's been tampered with. Owen reaches out with shaking hands and turns the rusted handle. The door creaks open, the sound of it like a scream in the silence of the building. He steps inside, the darkness swallowing him whole. The 4th floor is even colder than he remembers. His breath comes out in visible clouds, and the shadows seem to swallow him whole. He can feel the presence of something or someone else in the room with him. But it's not Anne-Marie this time. The whispers have changed. Now, it's not just voices in his head. He can hear footsteps, soft and slow, echoing down the hall behind him. He spins around, but there's no one there. The hallway is as empty as it was when he first entered. Owen's breath quickens. The air feels heavier, more oppressive. The shadows stretch unnaturally along the walls, moving as if they're alive. The feeling that he's being watched becomes unbearable, and he can't shake the sense that something is following him, waiting for him to make a mistake. He rounds the corner, his flashlight flickering as he moves deeper into the darkness. The walls are damp here, the paint peeling away in large chunks. The rusted bed frames are still scattered around the hallway, just as they've been for years. And then, as he steps forward, his foot catches on something. A sticky note. He freezes. The note is yellowed with age, its edges curled, but the writing is clear. You're not alone. I'm watching. His heart skips a beat. He knows the handwriting. It's his own. You're not alone. I'm watching. The words seem to pulse in the air, and the shadows in the corners of the hallway feel darker, more threatening. Owen's skin prickles as if a cold hand has brushed against him. The whispers grow louder now, like they're coming from every direction. Suddenly, the air feels thick with the presence of something, someone, moving just out of sight. Owen spins around, but again, there's no one there. He steps back, his flashlight shaking, and the beam of light flickers wildly before it cuts out completely. Everything is silent now, except for the breathing. Slow, steady, inhaling and exhaling in the darkness just behind him. Owen turns quickly, but before he can react, he feels a hand on his shoulder, a cold, clammy hand that seems to freeze him in place. The grip tightens, pulling him back. He's pulled toward something, no, someone, and then he hears it, a voice. Familiar. Owen. He turns to face the figure, but the only thing he sees is darkness. No face, no shape, just the suffocating void of shadow. The hand tightens again, pulling him deeper into the abyss of the fourth floor. You're one of us now. The grip on Owen's shoulder tightens, the cold fingers digging into his skin. The weight of the unseen presence pressing down on him is suffocating, as though the very air around him has thickened, becoming a dense fog that he can't escape. His body feels heavy, trapped in a nightmare of his own making, and the silence around him is unbearable, broken only by his frantic heartbeat, which pounds in his ears. You're one of us now. The voice, that same cold, familiar whisper, reverberates through his skull. It feels like it's coming from every direction, not just from the unseen figure behind him, but from the walls, from the very ground beneath him. The asylum isn't just a place. It's a living, breathing entity, and it's closing in on him. He jerks his head around, his eyes wide with fear, searching desperately for some sign of the source. But the hallway is still, empty, no figure, no movement. The hand on his shoulder, cold as death itself, pulls him again. It's not gentle. There's a force behind it, something more than just a presence, something physical, as though the building itself is trying to drag him deeper into its heart. Owen stumbles forward, his feet sliding on the damp floor. His flashlight is still, clutched tightly in his hand. But the beam is weak, flickering, casting only fleeting glimpses of his surroundings. Just enough to make out the rusted bed frames and peeling walls, but never enough to reassure him that he's not being followed. You're not alone. The voice repeats the words over and over, growing louder with each passing second, until it's all Owen can hear. He covers his ears with his hands, but it doesn't help. The voices, his voice, Anne-Marie's voice, are inside his head now. They're a part of him. They always have been. And then the shadows move. He sees it. A flicker of movement at the corner of his eye. He turns quickly, the flashlight beam shaking in his hand, and for a moment he sees a figure, a shadow, at the far end of the hallway. It's tall, elongated, distorted. It's almost human in shape, but something about it doesn't belong. It's an abomination, an unnatural mockery of life. The figure stands still, watching him, its presence more terrifying than anything he's ever felt. The light flickers again. In the split second that the light cuts out, the figure is gone. The only thing left is the whispering. His mind is racing now, unable to catch up with the torrent of questions flooding his thoughts. His heart is thundering in his chest as he takes a step back. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know how to escape the feeling that he's being consumed by this place. The hallway feels like it's closing in on him, the walls bending, shifting in a way that doesn't feel possible. The distance between him and the door he came through seems to stretch, elongating until he feels as if he's standing in a labyrinth. Every corner looks the same. Every shadow holds something just beyond reach. You were always meant to come. Here. The whisper is clear now, cutting through the chaos in his mind. It's the voice of the asylum, and it's saying what Owen is too terrified to acknowledge. This is his fate. Owen grips his flashlight tighter, his knuckles white. His breath is ragged, and his vision is beginning to blur at the edges. The asylum has been waiting for him, drawing him in like a spider to its web. He's part of the cycle now. It's too late to leave. As if on cue, the walls seem to pulse. The shadows grow darker, deeper, until they nearly swallow the hallway. The air is thick with the scent of mildew, of decay, of the forgotten. The whispers crescendo, a dissonant choir of voices calling his name. Each one feels like it's pulling at his mind, digging into his thoughts, eroding his sense of self. You're one of us. He feels his knees give out beneath him and he crumbles to the floor, gasping for breath. He's choking on the air, suffocated by the weight of the asylum's presence. His head spins, his vision blurs, and for a moment, everything fades into darkness. And then, something happens. When Owen opens his eyes again, he's not where he was before. The hallway is different. It's alive. The walls are lined with mirrors, but not just ordinary mirrors. These are distorted, warped, as though the very fabric of reality is being reflected back at him in a cruel, mocking way. Each mirror distorts his image, no longer his own, but the face of someone else, someone familiar. He stares at the reflection in front of him. The face staring back at him isn't Anne-Marie anymore. It's him, but older, battered, broken, with the same hollow eyes he's seen in his dreams. The face is scarred, but it's his face, or it's supposed to be. The distortion feels wrong. It's not just a reflection. It's him, Owen Mercer, but twisted, malformed, as though the asylum has shaped him into something else, something other. The whispers intensify, their volume rising to a maddening crescendo. You were always here. Owen takes a step back, but the mirrors follow his movements. Every time he moves, the reflections change. His own face shifts, morphs, becomes a different version of him, older, more fractured. He's seen this face before. This is the face of someone who's been through it all, the pain, the horror, the despair. The face of someone who's already been trapped by Willow Heights. Someone who's gone through the same cycle, the same nightmare. And then he sees it. In the reflection, in the mirror just to his left, his name is written across it. But it's not just his name, it's his fate. The mirror reflects the word Owen Mercer, the Watchman. His stomach churns. The Watchman. That's what he is now. That's what he's always been. He's the one who watches, who stays in the dark corners of the asylum, the one who's trapped in the endless loop of time. He's locked in the building's grasp, just like the others before him. The ones whose names are written in the walls, whose faces are trapped in the glass. You are the Watchman now. The mirrors begin to move, and with them, Owen's reflection distorts further, pulling him deeper into the twisted nightmare. He can feel his identity slipping away, his sense of self cracking. He reaches out to the mirror, desperate to touch something, anything. But as his fingers brush the glass, it ripples, the reflection laughs, and then he's pulled in. When Owen comes to, the world around him is different, muted. It feels as though he's been submerged underwater, his senses dull and distant, muffled by the thick silence that surrounds him. His chest aches with the weight of the air, the heavy, stagnant atmosphere of the asylum pressing down on him like an oppressive fog. He blinks, trying to clear the fog from his vision. The hallways he's in are unfamiliar, distorted like the asylum itself is shifting, bending in on itself. The walls seem to move, their edges rippling, warping in ways that make his head spin. But that's not the worst part. The whispers are back, louder this time, echoing through the hallways. Their tone has changed, faintly. It's more insistent, more urgent. It's as if the asylum is calling to him, urging him to move forward, to accept what's happening, to embrace the fate. It has already decided for him. You've always been here, Owen. The voice is familiar, like the sound of his own thoughts, but twisted, distorted, coming from all around him. His pulse quickens as he forces himself to stand. His legs feel weak, as if they're no longer his own. He sways, barely able to keep his balance as he reaches for the wall to steady himself. The plaster is damp, slick with the moisture that clings to the walls, as though the building is sweating, alive with an unsettling sense of purpose. It's already too late. You belong here now, He stumbles forward, each step an effort to resist the pull of the asylum's influence. But the more he walks, the heavier his feet feel, the harder it is to keep moving. The whispers grow louder as he continues down the hallway, pressing against his mind like a crushing weight. Suddenly, a flash of movement catches his eye. It's a shadow, slight, almost imperceptible, but it's there, just at the end of the corridor. Owen's breath catches in his throat. The shadow doesn't move like a person. It hides, flickering in and out of the darkness, like it's unsure of whether it should reveal itself. The edges of it shift in a way that doesn't seem natural, like it's merging with the darkness, becoming part of the walls themselves. He freezes, his heart hammering in his chest. It's not Anne-Marie. It's not even a person at all. It's something else, something far older. The shadow moves again, and this time Owen sees it clearly. It's not a figure, it's something. Something twisted, something wrong. It's stretching, like it's made of liquid, its edges writhing, crawling through the shadows like a living thing. And as Owen stares, his mind reels. He can't make sense of what he's seeing. A grotesque, ever-shifting mass, a nightmare given form. It stops moving. For a long moment, the shadow remains still, watching him. The darkness surrounding it feels heavier, denser. The air seems to thicken around him as though the very room is holding its breath. And then, the voice comes again, this time clear and cold. "You can never leave." Owen flinches, but it's not just the words that sting. It's the knowing behind them. He understands it now. He's no longer just a visitor in Willow Heights. He's trapped. The asylum isn't just some place. It's a living, breathing entity, and it's swallowed him whole. He's not just here physically. He's become part of its twisted existence. The shadows move again, this time faster. The edges of the mass stretch toward him, swirling around him like dark, predatory hands. We are all part of the cycle. The words feel like they're not just speaking to him. They're inside him, echoing through his veins, twisting his very thoughts. He backs away slowly, his eyes fixed on the mass of darkness. The more he moves, the closer the shadow gets, stretching. Toward him, its edges dripping like ink spilled on paper. It feels as though the entire asylum is shifting, moving around him like a living being, pushing him toward this thing. You will never leave. You are here now. You were always here. Owen's head spins, his body trembling with the weight of the realization. This place is endless. This asylum has been waiting for him, pulling him into its depths. And now, he's trapped in its horrific loop, just like everyone before him. Suddenly, a flicker of light catches his eye. It's a mirror. The reflection staring back at him isn't just his own face. It's not just the face of the man who entered the asylum all those days ago. No, this is something different. The man in the mirror looks just like him, but his face is older, more broken. The man in the mirror is a shell of himself, hollowed out, consumed by the asylum. His eyes are dark, his expression vacant, but there's something in them, something that says he knows the truth. Owen's heart pounds in his chest, and as he stares at his reflection, he feels something shift deep within him. The mirror is showing him the truth. The asylum isn't just a building. It's a trap, a place that claims its victims, pulling them in and forcing them to live their worst. Nightmares on an endless loop. The man in the mirror, the man with the hollow eyes, isn't just a reflection of his future. It's him. It has always been him. You are part of the cycle. The voice is louder now, coming from everywhere, inside his mind, inside the walls, inside his very soul. The man in the mirror smiles, a hollow, empty smile that sends a shiver down Owen's spine. It's not a smile of comfort. It's a smile of recognition. This is his fate. He's not just stuck in the asylum. He's become part of it. Owen stumbles backward from the mirror, his vision swimming. His thoughts are fragmented, like shards of glass scattered across the floor. The whispers, the shadows, the voices, everything is crashing together in a cacophony of terror, and it feels like his mind is splitting in two. His body shakes uncontrollably as he tries to steady himself, but the walls feel like they're moving, the floor beneath his feet trembling. He can feel the building closing in on him, squeezing the very life out of him. The mirror image is still there, standing behind him, staring at him with those hollow eyes, the twisted smile on its face. You were always here. You can't escape. Owen's chest tightens. He tries to scream, but the sound is choked off, caught in his throat. He wants to run. He has to run, but his body won't obey. The asylum's grip on him is absolute. The whispers grow louder, and as they do, Owen's thoughts begin to twist. His body feels like it's being pulled toward the walls, toward the reflection, toward the truth. Owen's chest tightens as he stares at the reflection in the mirror, unable to tear his eyes away from the hollow man smiling back at him. His breath is ragged, his hands trembling, but the worst part is the silence that has settled around him. The whispers have stopped, replaced by an overwhelming, suffocating quiet that presses against his skull. It feels like the entire asylum has stopped breathing, waiting for him to understand, waiting for him to accept the inevitable. The reflection in the mirror doesn't shift, it doesn't move. It only stands there, watching him with its hollow eyes. The smile is still there, twisted and knowing, as if it's waiting for him to finally grasp the truth. You were always here. The words reverberate in his mind, loud and clear, as if the reflection is speaking directly into his soul. His breath catches in his throat and he reaches out, his fingers brushing against the glass. The coldness of it chills him to the bone. It's not just a reflection anymore. It's a door, a portal into something far darker than he ever imagined. His mind races, fragments of memories slipping through his grasp like sand through his fingers. The events of the past few days feel like a blur, disjointed, warped. The asylum, the fourth floor, the face in the window, Anne-Marie. He can't remember what happened first, or what came next. Everything is tangled, twisting in on itself, like a puzzle he can't solve. He turns away from the mirror, gasping for breath, trying to push away the suffocating reality that is pressing down on him. But as he does, something shifts in the air. The room around him bends. The walls grow taller, the ceiling lower. The hallway he just walked down stretches out before him again, like an endless corridor that has no beginning and no end. The lights flicker, and for a moment he's convinced that the asylum itself is alive, shifting and changing to trap him further. The whispers return, but now they're different. They're more insistent, urgent. You've always been here. His body stiffens. The voice is familiar, but it's not Anne-Marie's voice anymore. It's his voice. It's the voice that's been echoing in his mind since the moment he first stepped into Willow Heights Asylum. It's as if he's speaking to himself, but not from his own mouth. The words come from somewhere deeper, somewhere darker. It's too late, Owen. You are one of us now. The walls seem to close in, the air growing thicker, suffocating him. He can feel the asylum pushing him forward, forcing him deeper into its web. The floor beneath him seems to shift, warping with each step he takes, like the building itself is molding him, changing him. The hallway in front of him is no longer a simple corridor. It's a maze stretching on forever, twisting into itself. His pulse quickens, panic rising in his chest. He can't breathe. The walls are too close. He can't see a way out. The asylum has consumed him. It owns him. And the worst part is, he knows it. Suddenly a voice, familiar, yet not, echoes in the hallway. It's a low murmur at first, but it grows louder, clearer with each passing second. Owen. His name, spoken with a tenderness that feels wrong, like a lover calling to him from the shadows. He spins around, his eyes wide with fear, but there's no one there. Come closer. He doesn't want to move, he wants to run, to escape, but his body betrays him, urging him forward step by step until his feet are moving of their own accord. His heart is pounding in his chest, each beat growing louder, faster, and then, just beyond the corner, he sees it. The door. It's not a door he's ever seen before. It's new, yet somehow familiar. Its edges are worn, the wood dark with age, but the handle is gleaming, untouched by time. It's a simple door, but there's something about it that calls to him like a beacon in the darkness. Owen approaches it slowly, the whispers growing louder, almost deafening now. The voices are no longer just in his head. They're coming from everywhere, from the walls, from the air itself. You've always been here. His breath catches in his throat as he reaches for the door handle. His hand shakes, but it feels like he's being guided by something, some unseen force, like he has no choice but to open it. With a deep breath, he turns the handle. The door opens. Inside the door, the room beyond the door is pitch black, darker than any space Owen has ever seen. But he knows what's inside. He doesn't need to see it. It's his room. The air smells stale, like something long forgotten. He steps inside, his footfall muffled by the thick carpet beneath him. The walls are lined with pictures, old photographs in faded frames. The faces in the pictures are blurry, but the one that stands out the most is the face of a young woman. She's wearing the same nurse's uniform he's seen in his dreams. Anne-Marie. But it's not just her face that draws his attention. The photographs are different now. They're no longer just photographs. They're moving, shifting like they're alive. The faces in the frames twist and distort, their eyes following him as he moves deeper into the room. The photos of Anne-Marie start to change, her features becoming unrecognizable. Owen stumbles backward, his mind racing as the room closes in around him. The walls seem to pulsate with some unseen energy, and the temperature drops, the air thick with an unnatural chill. His breath comes in sharp gasps as he backs toward the center of the room. And then he sees it, the mirror. It's standing at the far side of the room, framed in gold. Its surface is pristine, perfectly smooth. The glass doesn't reflect the room. It doesn't reflect anything. It's empty. He approaches it, his reflection not yet visible. But as he draws closer, something changes. His reflection appears, but it's not what he expects. The figure in the mirror is not his own. It's distorted. It's older, battered, scarred, like the reflection from the fourth floor. But it's not just a reflection of his face. It's his soul, twisted, broken, and corrupted. And standing behind him in the reflection is a figure, Anne-Marie. But she's not smiling anymore. Her face is blank, her eyes hollow. She reaches out toward him, her fingers trembling. You were always here, Owen. The reflection starts to crack, the glass splinters, breaking like fragile ice. The cracks spread rapidly, consuming the surface, until it shatters completely, and the room around him shifts. And then, as the pieces of glass fall to the ground, he hears it, the sound of footsteps, and they're not his. Owen stumbles backward, his chest heaving as he surveys the room, the shattered mirror reflecting 1,000 twisted versions of himself. The room around him feels alive, a living entity that shifts and breathes with each passing second. Tiwa. Footsteps grow louder, closer, as if someone or something is approaching him from behind. But when he spins around, there's nothing there. The walls feel like they're closing in, squeezing the air from his lungs. The door he came through has vanished, replaced by a wall of shadows that stretch up toward the ceiling, as if the building itself is swallowing him whole. You were always here, Owen. The voice is different now. It's not just a whisper. It's louder, more commanding, and this time it feels like it's coming from within him, like it's been there all along, buried deep beneath the surface, waiting for him to realize the truth. Owen's mind begins to spin. The asylum isn't just a place, it's a memory, a nightmare that has always existed. The walls, the floors, the rooms, they're not real, not in the way he thought. They're pieces of his own fractured psyche, parts of him that have been torn and distorted over time. His breath comes in sharp gasps as the truth starts to unfold. He's been here before. He has always been here. He always will be. He's been trapped in the cycle for years, maybe even longer than he can comprehend. But the worst part, he was never meant to leave. His mind begins to fragment. Flashes of memories surge through him like a violent tide crashing over his senses. The images are disjointed, blurry, like he's watching them from behind a veil. But they're clear enough to see. Memories of another life. Memories that don't belong to him. He sees a younger version of himself, wearing a nurse's uniform, just like Anne-Marie's, walking down a long hallway in the asylum. His eyes are distant, empty, as if he's already lost to the building's hold. The corridors stretch on forever, and the walls are lined with the same peeling wallpaper he's seen in his own nightmares. But he's not alone. Anne-Marie is there too. She walks beside him, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear. She's looking at him as if she knows what's about to happen, as if she's seen it 1,000 times before. Her lips move, but the words don't reach him. They never do. The hallway stretches on, but it's not just an ordinary hallway. The walls start to warp, bend, twist like they're alive, pulsating with an unnatural energy. The lights above flicker in and out of existence, casting long, jagged shadows that crawl along the floor. The shadows seem to follow them, trailing behind them like a malevolent presence. As they walk, Owen's mind is fragmented further. The memories shift, and he's no longer the observer. He's there, in the moment, in the asylum's past, walking alongside Anne-Marie, but there's a strange sense of dread, inevitability. He remembers something, a patient, a face that is blurred, distorted by the shadows. But the eyes, they're unmistakable. The eyes of the man who was once a guard here. A man who had been dragged into the asylum's grasp and never let go. His eyes are wide with madness, and his mouth moves, but no sound comes out. The hallway stretches on. Owen tries to move, tries to speak, but he can't. He's trapped in the memory, trapped in the past. Anne-Marie turns to him, her lips moving, in a slow, desperate whisper, but all Owen can hear is the pounding of his heart. Then, the hallway splits. Anne-Marie disappears into the darkness. The man, the guard, appears again, his face distorted, his eyes empty. He reaches for Owen, but Owen can't move. He's frozen. The man's voice is barely audible. It's too late. The ground beneath Owen's feet shatters, and he falls. Owen gasps for air, the sudden shock of the memory fading as quickly as it came. He's back in the present now, standing in the empty hallway of Willow Heights Asylum. But nothing feels real anymore. The walls are too close, the air too thick. The whispers are louder now, almost deafening, their voices mingling together, becoming a single overpowering sound. You were always here. The walls seem to pulse, the shadows growing deeper with each passing second. Owen feels something, cold brush against his skin, a chill that sinks into his bones. He's trapped in a place that doesn't exist. The asylum has claimed him. There's no escape. The past and the present are one. The asylum, the memories, Anne-Marie, they are all part of the same cycle, an endless loop that Owen can never escape. He's the watchman, He was always meant to stay here, to watch, to wait. The figure of Anne-Marie appears before him again, standing at the far end of the hallway. Her face is no longer kind. It's twisted, as if the building has consumed her, just as it consumed everyone else. Her eyes are wide, her mouth open in a silent scream. You're part of it now. Owen's legs shake beneath him, but he can't stop, he can't move. His mind is locked in place, and his body follows. He stumbles toward her, the floor beneath his feet seemingly shifting and warping, becoming more and more unstable. He's too far gone. Anne-Marie's figure flickers. It's not her anymore. It's him. Owen. The reflection of himself stares back at him. But it's not just his reflection. It's the version of him that's lost, the one who has already been consumed by the asylum's endless cycle, the cycle that repeats over and over, swallowing anyone who dares to enter. You were always here, Owen. The words fill his mind again, and this time, Owen knows. He is the cycle. The building has claimed him, and now there is no escape. He reaches out toward the mirror, his fingers trembling as they touch the glass. Owen's fingers tremble as they touch the mirror. The cold glass beneath his skin seems to pulse, like it's alive. His reflection is still distorted, still wrong, and it's not just the face. It's everything, his surroundings. The very air around him is hollow. His reflection smiles, but it's not a smile of comfort. It's a smile of recognition, the kind of smile that only someone who knows the truth can wear. The kind of smile that belongs to someone who knows there is no escape. He pulls his hand away, the cold lingering on his skin, but the mirror pulls him in. His body shudders, his mind spiraling as everything around him begins to break. The walls warp, the floor beneath his feet fractures, and he feels himself falling into the same darkness that has been waiting for him all along. The voices return, louder now, deafening, speaking in unison. You were always here, Owen. He can't breathe. The words are suffocating him, drowning him. This is the moment he has been running from. Everything shatters. The asylum is alive. The realization hits him like a physical blow. The walls, the floors, the corridors, they all shift, bending and warping around him, as if the very structure of the building is alive, growing, evolving. The hallway stretches out, impossibly long, like it's trying to swallow him whole. The floors beneath his feet feel unstable, like they're no longer made of solid ground, but something fluid, something that moves beneath him, pulling him deeper into the dark heart of Willow Heights. The footsteps begin again, soft, measured, deliberate. He turns frantic, but the hallway is still empty. Yet the footsteps don't stop. They're getting louder, closer, echoing down the corridor like the slow, deliberate advance of something that has no time for him. The walls seem to close in on him, suffocating him with their oppressive presence. The shadows twist, distort, and elongate as if they are reaching for him, pulling him towards some unseen fate. The voices grow fainter, but the footsteps, they don't stop. And then, the figure appears at the far end of the hallway. A man, tall, cloaked in shadow, his features obscured. The footsteps stop as he steps forward, as if he's waiting for Owen to recognize him. But Owen can't. He can't move, can't breathe, can't think. The figure stares at him, its face still hidden, but there is no mistaking the energy that radiates from it. A dark, malevolent force that makes the air around Owen freeze. His pulse races. The figure takes another step forward, and Owen knows it's not just a person. This thing is part of the asylum's reality, its keeper, its twisted guardian. It's the force behind everything, the one who has watched for all these years. It was always there, waiting for him to come. You are the watchman now, Owen. The voice is deep, resonant, yet somehow distant, as though the figure is speaking to him through an endless veil of time. Owen's mind falters. The watchman. That's what he's become, what he always was. He's no different from the shadows that haunt these halls, the whispers that echo through the rooms. He is part of this cycle. There's no escaping it. The asylum has consumed him. The figure takes another step, but Owen doesn't move. He's paralyzed by the weight of the truth. He can feel it in his bones now. He is this place. He belongs here. He's been part of it all along. The asylum's cycle has always been waiting for him to realize it. The figure speaks again, its voice cutting through the air like a blade. There is no escape. The words echo in his skull. His heart races, pounding so loudly in his chest that he can't hear anything else. His knees buckle beneath him as the figure takes another step forward, and Owen falls to the ground, his hands clawing at the floor as he gasps for air. You were always here. The walls begin to warp again. The asylum is breathing, pulsating with life, its walls stretching like skin over a living, breathing entity. It's no longer a building. It's a mind, a place that traps those within its confines, consumes them, molds them into part of its endless cycle. Owen looks up. The figure is closer now. He can feel its presence looming over him, its shadow blocking out the dim light of the hallway. The air is so thick he can barely breathe, as though the very building is suffocating him. The figure reaches out, its hand long and twisted, like it's made of something ancient and broken. It's not human, it's something worse. Owen stares at the hand, and suddenly it clicks. The figure is him. It is a version of him, distorted by the asylum, transformed by the cycle that repeats over and over. This is not the first time. It's not the second. It's the 1000th time. The cycle has gone on for years, maybe even centuries, and Owen has always been part of it. He's always been the watchman, the one who watches and waits as the asylum devours everything around. Him. You have always been here. The words reverberate in his head, and Owen feels his mind split, the walls of reality crumbling around him. He's no longer in the asylum. He's not in the hallway. He's in a place outside of time, caught in the dark void where everything is lost, trapped between past and present, between life and death. But there's no escape. The figure extends its hand toward him, and as it does, the world around Owen dissolves. The walls break apart like shattered glass. The floor beneath him disintegrates, leaving nothing but the infinite black. He reaches out. He has to. The darkness is absolute. Owen stands at the edge of a black void, the endless abyss stretching out before him. There is no floor beneath his feet, no walls surrounding him. It's as though the entire world has dissolved, leaving only this infinite emptiness. The air is thick, heavy with a palpable pressure that seems to press down on his chest, squeezing the breath from his lungs. He should be terrified, but the terror feels distant now, muted, as if it's happening to someone else. His body moves on its own, but his mind is detached. He can feel the presence of something, someone, behind him. The oppressive weight of it presses on him from all sides, and he knows, deep down, that there's nowhere left to hide. The figure is still there. It's been following him, shadowing his every move since the moment he first stepped into the asylum, the thing that wears his face, that speaks with his voice. You were always here. The words reverberate in his mind, echoing through the void like a chant, a mantra that he can't escape. The voice is both his and not his. It's the voice of someone who has been here for far longer than he can comprehend. The Watcher, the one who has seen everything and still remains, and that's when it hits him. He is the Watchman. The truth is crushing, overwhelming. The realization slams into him with the force of a freight train, and for the first time he understands. The asylum was never just a building. It was never just a place where people were kept. It's an entity, a living, breathing thing, and it has always been part of him. It has shaped him, twisted him into its servant, its observer, and now he is trapped, caught in the cycle of time, of torment, of death and rebirth. The asylum's cycle has no end. It repeats over and over, its inhabitants doomed to live out the same horrors, the same tragedies, forever. Owen turns, his mind numb, and looks into the infinite darkness. He can feel it, the presence, the force that has been waiting for him. It is more than just a shadow. It is the very essence of the asylum, the core of its power, and it is staring at him with eyes that he cannot see but feel. The hallway behind him stretches, elongates, impossibly long, but no matter how far he walks, he never seems to get any closer to the end. Time has stopped. The clocks no longer tick. The walls no longer move. There is only this unbroken moment, an eternity that he is forced to endure. The whispers rise again, but now they are different. They are louder, more urgent. You're one of us now. Owen's chest tightens as he walks deeper into the void. The floor beneath him begins to pulse like it's alive, breathing with every step he takes. He's moving, but he doesn't know where he's going. Every direction feels the same. The shadows twist, the air grows colder, but he can't stop. His legs move of their own accord, dragging him forward into the unknown. And then ahead of him there's a flicker. It's the door. It's familiar, yet strange. Like it has always been here, waiting for him to come through. The handle is twisted, weathered, as if it has been opened countless times before. The door is the same as it was in his dream, the same as it was in his memory. The door beckons. Owen hesitates, but the whispers grow louder now, more insistent. He knows what's on. The other side, he knows what he must do. The asylum has called him here, and now it's time to face what he's become. With a trembling hand, he grasps the handle. The door creaks open. What he sees on the other side isn't a room. It isn't a hallway. It's a memory. He's standing in the very place where it all began, the front entrance to Willow Heights Asylum. It's a strange, twisted version of it, but he recognizes it nonetheless. The doors are heavy, rusted, their paint peeling. The windows are cracked, their glass shattered in places. The atmosphere is oppressive, suffocating, but it feels familiar. Too familiar. And standing there waiting for him is Anne-Marie. Her face is the same, but not the same. The light that once shone in her eyes is gone, replaced by something darker, something older. She smiles at him, but it's not a kind smile. It's a knowing smile, one that tells him that she understands exactly what he's become. You were always meant to be here, Owen. Her voice is soft, gentle, but it sends a chill through his spine. She steps toward him, and as she does, the hallway stretches behind her, growing longer, darker, until it feels like an endless abyss. The shadows from the walls start to swirl, consuming everything in their path. You are the watchman. You always were. Anne-Marie's voice echoes in his ears, and he knows. He knows that she isn't just a victim of the asylum. She is part of it, just as he is now, just as every soul that has ever set foot in this place has become. They are, bound together, trapped in the endless loop. The whispers begin again, louder, faster, as the asylum comes alive around him. There's no way out. The hallway darkens even further, the light from Anne-Marie's figure dimming as the shadows close in. Owen tries to move, but his body is frozen. He is locked in place, unable to break free from the cycle that has claimed him. His chest tightens as the shadows begin to reach for him, their fingers long and skeletal. Owen screams, but the sound is swallowed by the darkness. The shadows engulf him, and as they do, Owen feels himself shift, His body distorts, his mind fractures, and the finality of it all hits him with overwhelming force. His identity breaks down, replaced by the watchman, the figure he saw in the mirror, the figure that has been waiting for him to acknowledge his fate. You are part of us now. The voice is no longer just in his head. It's in the walls. It's in the air. It is the very fabric of Willow Heights Asylum. The place has consumed him completely, and now he is a part of it. Forever. The cycle is complete. The door behind him slams shut, locking him inside the room with Anne-Marie. Her face is no longer sad, no longer fearful. It is blank, empty, just like his own. The asylum has won, and the endless cycle begins again. Owen is trapped, a part of the asylum. The watchman, who will forever witness its horrors without ever being able to leave. The world around Owen has stopped making sense. The hallway stretches endlessly before him, the same oppressive shadows creeping along the walls, pushing inward, threatening to consume everything in their path. The walls themselves seem to hum with an unnatural energy, vibrating in tune with the beat of his heart. But there's something different this time. The darkness feels colder, more intimate, like it's no longer just surrounding him, but merging. With him, he can't move, he can't breathe. The air is thick and stagnant, suffocating him in its weight. Every part of him wants to flee, to escape, but deep down, Owen knows. He knows he cannot. The asylum has him. It has always had him. The cycle is complete. Owen's breath comes in ragged gasps as the walls around him begin to close in. His mind screams for release, for freedom, but there's no way out. The asylum is a prison of time, a never-ending loop that traps those who enter within its walls. The cycle repeats itself over and over, and those who are swallowed by its dark embrace become part of its twisted legacy. The figure of Anne-Marie appears before him once more. Her face is cold, empty, a hollow shell of the woman she once was. The smile that once filled her face is gone, replaced by the same haunting void that Owen has come to know all too well. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Owen feels her presence deep inside him, in the very marrow of his bones. The asylum's mark is on him now, just as it is on her, just as it is on everyone who has ever stepped through its doors. The truth he has been running from, the truth he has been trying to deny, crashes into him with the weight of 1,000 years. The cycle is eternal, and he is part of it. Anne-Marie steps toward him, her eyes blank, her movements slow, deliberate, like a puppet being controlled by the unseen strings of the asylum itself. Her face is no longer the soft, haunted expression it once was. It is empty, as if the asylum has drained her of everything, leaving behind only the shell of the person she once was. She reaches out a hand, and though Owen wants to step back, he can't. His body moves of its own accord, compelled by an unseen force. The darkness around him begins to swallow him whole, pulling him into the very heart of the asylum, where time no longer exists, where there is no past or future, only the endless now. We are all part of the cycle. The words are not just hers. They are the asylum's. They are a voice that has always existed within these walls, spoken by everyone who has ever entered this place. The asylum is alive, its power fed by the souls of the lost, the broken, the watchers. Owen's vision blurs as the room shifts around him. The hallway distorts, bends, and stretches like an optical illusion, the floor tilting and shifting beneath him. The air becomes heavy, thick with the weight of forgotten memories, and Owen's mind begins to fracture. He can see it now. He can see the truth. The asylum has always been here, part of him, part of everyone who has ever walked its halls. The watchers, the ones who remain trapped within the asylum's grip, are all the same. They are lost, abandoned, and bound by the cycle. They are doomed to watch, to wait, unable to move, unable to leave. And now, Owen is one of them. He was always one of them. The shadows around him grow darker, more oppressive. He can feel the pull of the building, dragging him deeper into the dark abyss. He sees the faces of the others, those who have come before him, those who were consumed by the asylum. He sees their eyes, empty and hollow, staring at him from the dark corners of the room. They are watching, waiting for him to accept his place in this never-ending cycle. You are the watchman. The words echo in his head, filling him with the knowledge that there is no escape. There never was. The asylum has always claimed its watchers, its lost souls, and Owen's face will soon join theirs, staring out from the walls, the mirrors, the very fabric of the asylum itself. He turns to look at Anne-Marie, but she's no longer there. Her face is now his face, twisted and distorted, a mockery of the person he once was. His reflection grins at him from the walls, from the mirrors, from the dark corners of the room. And then it speaks. You are the watchman now. Owen. Owen stumbles forward, unable to stop himself, his body moving against his will. The asylum calls to him, its grip tightening around him like a noose, pulling him into the same fate that has claimed everyone who has ever entered this place. The walls close in, and the very darkness swallows him whole. His mind snaps, fragments of memories, his life before the asylum, his time as an EMT, the events that led him here, slipping through his fingers like sand. Nothing matters now. There is no escape from the cycle, no breaking free from the endless loop. He's been here before. He will always be here. The watching never ends. As the walls close in around him, the finality of his fate settles over him like a suffocating blanket. He is the watchman. He will always be the one who watches, who waits, trapped in the endless, unbroken cycle of Willow Heights Asylum. And so, the cycle begins again. The darkness is absolute. Owen can feel the weight of it pressing down on him, suffocating him, squeezing the last remnants of his humanity from his chest. There's no sound, no sensation except the cold and the absolute stillness that stretches on infinitely. The air is thick, dense with something ancient, something alive. He has no body anymore, no form. He is no longer a man. He is not human. He is part of the asylum. You are the watchman now. The words echo in his mind, reverberating through the void. He feels them more than he hears them, as though they are written into the very fabric of his being. The cycle has consumed him completely. There is no more Owen Mercer. There is only the watchman. The watchman watches. That's all he does. The memories of his past life, his time as an EMT, his escape from the trauma of his old world, the reason he came to Willow Heights, have dissolved, lost in the endless churn of time. His past is just a shadow, a fleeting memory that holds no meaning anymore. It was all a part of the illusion. There is only the asylum now, and the role it has carved out for him. He is the eternal observer, locked within the asylum's walls, forced to witness the suffering, the pain, the darkness that plays out endlessly before him. He is bound to this place, to its twisted cycle. He can feel it now, the passage of time, the movement of it like a slow pulse in the walls. Time here is not linear. It doesn't follow the rules of the outside world. In the asylum, time bends. It folds in on itself, a never-ending loop of torment and rebirth. The echoes of the past are not distant. They are here, now, and they repeat endlessly. Owen, or what is left of him, watches. He watches as the newcomers arrive, just as he did. He watches as they wander, searching for answers, trying to escape. The asylum's grasp. But there is no escape. There never was. Owen feels the presence of another newcomer. It's familiar, but distorted. He watches as the figure stumbles down the long hallway, their eyes wide with confusion, fear, just as his once were. The footsteps echo in the dark, the quiet hum of despair filling the air as the person moves closer to the inevitable. Owen cannot stop them. He cannot warn them. The cycle is inexorable. He watches as the newcomer, just a child it seems, barely 20, reaches the end of the hall. The walls pulse in rhythm with Owen's heartbeat, the very walls of the asylum alive with their own insidious energy. The new arrival stops, looking around in panic, but there is nothing to see. The asylum keeps its secrets hidden, tucked away, behind layers of shadows. The newcomer's breath is heavy, their chest rising and falling in terror. Owen feels their fear as though it is his own. He remembers. He remembers his own terror, the hopelessness, the horror of realizing that he was trapped. But there is nothing left for him to do. Owen watches as the newcomer's face contorts in confusion and dread. They reach for the door at the end of the hall, and just like him, they turn the handle, the creaking sound of the door opening familiar, echoing through the hall. The shadowed room behind the door is pitch black, and the whispers begin, soft at first, then growing louder. The new arrival steps through the threshold into the blackness just as Owen had. And just like him, they will never leave. Owen feels the pull, the inexorable suction that draws the newcomer into the heart of the asylum. The walls grow thicker around them, consuming their presence, until they too are lost in the cycle. The newcomer, now just another soul, becomes part of the watchman's vigil. They will never know peace, never know rest. They will always be trapped, always be watching, caught in the web that the asylum weaves. As the newcomer disappears, the hallway falls silent once more. Owen watches, but there is no joy, no satisfaction. There is nothing but emptiness. The endless passage of time, the constant repetition of faces, voices, and names that come and go, but always return. The watchman watches. Owen cannot move. He cannot escape. He cannot feel anything beyond the cycle. His mind is no longer his own. The asylum owns him now. The walls, the shadows, the whispers, they are all part of him. There is no boundary between Owen and Willow Heights. You are the watchman. The words are a mantra, a truth he can no longer deny. The other lost souls drift in and out of his sight, each one entering the asylum just as he did, each one becoming part of the never-ending cycle. And Owen watches. He watches them fall, watches them lose themselves, and watches them become part of the asylum's twisted, eternal grip. The asylum is alive, and he is now part of it. Time passes in the same eternal loop, but Owen cannot mark it. He cannot recognize its passage. The faces, the voices, they blur together in a single, overwhelming mass of suffering. He can no longer remember how long he's been here, nor when. He was first drawn into the asylum. There is no beginning, there is no end, only the cycle. And just when Owen believes the cycle might never end, when he feels the full weight of the endless torment pressing down on him, he hears it. The faintest whisper. A name. His name. Owen. The voice is different now. It's not the asylum's voice. It's not the voice of Anne-Marie or the watchman. It's a new voice, one that calls to him from beyond the shadows, from beyond the cycle. It's familiar. His heart skips a beat. He recognizes it. It's his own voice, the real Owen Mercer. He hears it again, but this time, the words are clearer. You can still leave. Owen's mind races. Can he leave? Can he finally escape the endless loop? Can he break the cycle that has consumed him for so long? He's not sure, but he feels the pull. He feels the truth deep within him. Maybe there's a way out. Maybe. The asylum holds him still, but this time there is something different. The walls are shifting, the shadows seem to flicker with uncertainty. The cycle is cracking just for a moment. Owen's heartbeat quickens as he steps forward. Maybe the cycle can be broken. Owen's pulse is pounding in his ears, his breath ragged as he stands in the center of the endless hallway. The air feels thick, charged with an energy he cannot explain. For a moment, everything seems to freeze, suspended in the space between past and present, between the before and the now. The asylum is alive. He can feel it, breathing around him, the walls shifting, bending, twisting. It has been watching him, guiding him, shaping him into something other. The watchman, the eternal. Observer bound to the cycle. The truth has been gnawing at him for so long, and now he can finally feel it. The question still lingers. Can he escape? Can he break free from the asylum's grip? Or has he been consumed by it completely? The voice, his voice, echoes again in his mind. You can still leave. Owen's body trembles, not with fear, but with the weight of this revelation. The whispers, the darkness, the voices that have plagued him. Have they been telling him the truth all along? He feels the pull now, a tug in his chest that seems to reach deep into his very soul. It's the feeling of reality itself beginning to slip. He's standing on the edge, the boundary between his existence and the abyss. He's close, so close. There's something different about the asylum now. It feels as if it's shifting, as if it's being tested by something, or someone. The walls pulse again, but this time, the pulse feels weaker. The cycle is cracking. As he moves down the hallway, he begins to notice something else. Familiar faces. They flicker in the shadows, barely visible at first, but then they become clearer. Others, the lost souls of the asylum trapped in its endless maze. They all stare at him, their eyes vacant, as if they too were once part of this cycle. There are faces from his past, the patients he saw as an EMT, the people who came to him for help, the ones who never made it out, faces of those he knew in life. But now their expressions are blank, hollow. They are all part of the asylum, now and forever. They begin to speak, their voices joining in the growing cacophony that fills his mind. You can never leave. You are one of us now. We were always here. The words hit him like a physical blow, each one a reminder of the truth he has been trying to deny. But as the voices grow louder, something shifts. There's a crack in the asylum's grip, a moment of weakness. He stops walking, standing still in the center of the hallway. The whispers fade for a moment, the walls around him still, like the asylum is holding its breath. His heart beats louder than ever before. He knows what he must do. Owen turns to face the mirror at the end of the hall. It's there again, just as it has always been, reflecting not just his face, but everything. The face staring back at him is not the face of a man who has lost himself, but the face of someone remembering who they truly are. The watchman. And in the reflection, there is something else. Anne-Marie, standing next to him, looking at him with those hollow eyes. She is not a victim anymore. She's not a lost soul. She is him. She is them. She is the cycle. But this time, something is different. Anne-Marie's expression shifts, her face no longer blank and lifeless. There's a flicker of recognition, of understanding. You can leave, Owen. You have always been able to. The words resonate deep within him, and the asylum shudders. The walls groan, the very air vibrating with a strange energy. The reflection in the mirror begins to change. Owen takes a step forward. The cycle is breaking. The moment Owen steps closer to the mirror, the world around him fractures. The walls bend and warp, the ceiling tilts, and the very ground beneath him begins to crack. The asylum trembles as if it's on the verge of collapsing, its foundation crumbling. He reaches out, his fingers touching the surface of the mirror. It's cold, but not in the same way it was before. This cold feels different, final. The asylum is fighting him, struggling to keep him here, but Owen can feel the power of his own will pushing through. You are part of the cycle, Owen. Anne-Marie's voice echoes again, but this time, it's not a command. It's a plea. He doesn't look at her. He doesn't look at the reflection. He's looking at himself. Owen knows, in this final moment, that he is no longer the watchman. The watchman is the asylum, is its keeper, the one who has witnessed every cycle, every death, every soul consumed by the walls. And yet for the first time, Owen feels a spark of something that the asylum cannot control. Free will. He pulls his hand away from the mirror, and as he does, the reflection shatters. The asylum shudders again, this time violently. The walls split, the floor cracks beneath his feet, and for the first time in what feels like eternity, he is free. The air is no longer thick with the presence of the asylum, no longer pressing down on him. The weight of the building lifts. The cycle has broken. The hallway stretches before him, but this time, there's no darkness at the end. There's no more shadow. The door that was once closed now stands wide open, leading into a world he hasn't seen in so long, a world that isn't part of the asylum. Owen takes one last look around. The walls are silent now. The asylum, now a ghost of its former self, has lost its power. And then he steps forward,